Was that good or was that good?
Like the end, baby.
Was that him laughing back there? We had a very beautiful conversation earlier in the day, but I just want the record to show that we're right. So, Gavin Orland, you really should get his book, What It Means to Be Protestant. Like, it is good. I've listened to the audio version. I've bought physical copies. It is really good. So, yeah, I'm so happy that he spoke and he brought his beautiful family and our kids are hanging out together, about to go to the pool. Like, just awesome, folks. So we're going to pivot here in a second, and we're going to have another panel discussion. This discussion will not feature a Q&A, but I think you guys will still find it pretty interesting and intriguing. We have the privilege to hear from the legendary Dr. Sean McDowell and Jared Smith, the Atheist church auditor. Okay. So here's the idea. You guys show our atheist friend a lot of love, make him feel warm, and give them a warm round of applause for Dr. Sean McDowell and Jared Smith.
Yeah.
Okay. My brother. All right. So, everybody know who these two are, or should we do introductions? Introduce yourself. What do you do?
Okay. Well, my name is Jared, and first and foremost, thanks to Ruslan for having me out. I'm holding down the fort on the atheist front here, which I know is a disappointment because last year you guys had Alex O'Connor. So this is a downgrade this year. So on the count of 3, I want us all to do a collective sigh that you get me instead of Alex O'Connor this year. So 1, 2, I know. My name is Jared. I'm an atheist. I've got a couple of degrees in theology. And yeah, I have a series on YouTube called Atheist Church Audit. So what I do is every couple of weeks, I try to go to a different denomination, a different sect, a different cult, and I experience it kind of going in blind. I don't like doing my research beforehand. And yeah, I like to compare and contrast different faith movements, different streams, and see how it strikes me as somebody who's a little bit of an outsider.
By the way, he has a 9-to-5 job and took the time to come out here for a couple of days and produces content. I don't know how you do it.
He doesn't have any kids, though.
You know what? That's where I was going. Not married, no kids, so only so much sympathy. Sean McDowell, I'm a professor at Talbot School of Theology, get to write, speak, do a little bit of YouTube stuff as well. Husband, got 3 kids. My 22-year-old son is here with me hanging out. Maybe get a chance to meet him too. So happy to be here.
All right. So to kind of set this up, last year, Jared attended the Bless God Summit. I don't know how many sessions you actually sat through.
Not many. I was spending a lot of time in the green room.
Yeah. But you did a great video. You did Atheist Church Audit on the first Bless God Summit, which was really fun. And one of the things you said that I personally was like, man, that's actually pretty valid, is you talked about, for context, like Jared's super smart and he's heard every argument. Okay, so he knows the apologetics. He knows every argument. And one of the things you pointed out was how you think we as Christians can engage our friends who have deconstructed or deconverted is by showing the transformational aspect of what our communities do for people, how we rally amongst our own, how we care for each other. And you're like, that's a bigger testament than like scoring culture war points.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I was like, man, that's great. Like that's actually true, because as followers of Jesus, I believe we should be much more known by the things we're for than just known for the things we're against. And so I was like, man, that's a really good point, and I appreciated that. And so I thought with Dr. Sean, you've engaged with quite a few of these conversations. And so here's kind of what I'm hoping to tee up is like, how do we have conversations with our friends who have deconverted, deconstructed, are atheists, non-believers, fill in the blank, where we're not going to water down or downplay the hard truths of our faith, while at the same time meeting them where they're at. And I have a ton of thoughts on that. just in terms of our interaction. I have so many non-Christian friends in my life that like they're not a project for me. like there's no like, oh, look at this formula, and then if I can get them Dr. Sean's book on the resurrection, and then this and this and this, and then they hear the right worship song. Like they're not a project to me. Like it's life on life. And Jared is someone that like I genuinely enjoy your presence. Like I enjoy being with you. I do. Like you've come into my home. You've been around my family. You've been around my kids. I genuinely enjoy you. And so let's jump into that. Like where you at on that? And I want to hear your perspective because again, I think there's this tension that we get to live in of saying, hey, the reality is there are folks that have deconverted, deconstructed. We love them. However, we don't compromise and we don't water stuff down. Yet they do have some valuable insight for us sometimes in terms of how we might come off to non-Christians if we're just about scoring culture war points and dunking in debates and, annihilated, we made the atheists look stupid, right? So anyway, I'm going to see that up. What do you think, Sean?
You know what? I'd love to just start by hearing a little bit more about your story. You have 2 degrees in theology. You said you were a worship leader and preached. Just tell us more about that. I think it's a great place to start.
Yeah, for sure. So I had my come to Jesus moment when I was 13, the night of Christmas in 2007, and kicked off a very passionate, very real relationship with the Lord that lasted 10 years. So during that time, I studied apologetics. I fell passionately in love with the Holy Spirit, and I first went to Dr. Michael Brown's School of Ministry, his kind of pseudo-seminary thing. So I say 2 degrees. Only one of them is a bona fide degree. Full disclaimer. Not smart. And then after that, I went to Wheaton College and did my second degree there. And
in what?
Christian heavy metal music. It's true. Look up the album Ishmael by Heliocentric on Spotify. That was my senior project. Somebody gets it. So that I turned in a 12-song original album about the theological conversation between Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, centering on the Akedah, Abraham's sacrifice of Isaac / Ishmael if you're a Muslim. And that 12-song album and the 92-page research paper explaining the lyrics was what I traded for my degree.
Nice. So not 91 pages, 92 pages.
92
you remember
pages.
Exactly how many pages?
Yes, because
What were the first seeds of that started the process of deconversion for you?
It's very interesting, right? Because I think that a lot of people, and this is kind of what I wanted to talk about, was I'm fascinated by what a good presentation of the gospel looks like and what a poor, kind of lousy presentation of the gospel looks like. By and large, when somebody approaches me and wants to bring me back to Jesus, it's usually pretty shallow. When it's done badly, it's shallow, and it's usually coming from a place of ignorance. And so I believe that speaking is a platform that is earned through listening, right? And exactly what Sean's doing now, asking about, what were the things that led up to it. I think that's solid. So I would say that there was not, one specific thing. It was a whole host of things, right? Because I believe that belief is a tapestry. Nobody believes in this or that, or nobody believes in Christianity because of one thing, right? It's because of the historical resurrection for the historical case for the resurrection, or it's the case for the inerrancy of Scripture, or the philosophical arguments, the Kalam cosmological argument. They should shorten that. And kind of one by one, I think that tapestry kind of became a little bit frayed, right? Now, the actual specific reasons of why I'm not a Christian and why I'm an atheist, I don't like to get into it. I don't like to answer those questions usually, at least not in a public context. One, because I don't enjoy introducing doubt to people. Deconversion for me and becoming an atheist was one of the most painful things I ever went through and I don't want to impose that on somebody if they're not ready for it. Now, if they're in a particular denomination or a sect or a cult that is killing them inside, that is making them feel suicidal, or they hate themselves because of their sexuality, or the fear of hell is overwhelming. If they have a faith that is truly cancerous to their soul, then yeah, I'll talk you through that, and I'm happy to help you walk through that journey and leave. But by and large, that's not my MO. So that's one reason I don't like talking about the specifics.
It's fair.
The other is I think that I've found that apologists are often bad stewards of that information. And I've seen them be very uncharitable with that. So if I were to say, well, I don't believe in the historicity of the resurrection, I can anticipate the 12 response videos immediately, or I could anticipate somebody running up to me and saying like, but Jared, have you read this book? Have you done this or that? And I'm just not interested in having those conversations anymore. I want to hear about why Jesus Christ is the most beautiful thing in your life.
Now I could guess, but I don't want to guess. You said it's, correct my words if they're not right, the most painful thing you've been through.
Yeah.
As much as you're comfortable, what made it so painful?
Great question. I have never loved anyone as much as I loved Jesus. And losing him was losing my purpose, losing my truest friend, and losing my aim in life. And that sucked.
I've got more questions, but I kind of want to let that one sit a little bit.
Yeah.
I want to let that sit. So it sounds like, if I'm not mistaken, you wish Christianity were true. You would want it to be true. Or am I putting words in your mouth when I say that? Or a certain understanding of Jesus you wish you were true? Like what Jesus would be, because obviously people are going to debate about who Jesus is and what he taught, and we could go back and forth on that. Not interested in this conversation.
Yeah.
But what is it about Jesus that's so captivating to you, and do you really wish that were true, but just can't believe it?
I would say that, Jesus as he's presented in the Gospel of John, right? I love that story. I think it's so awesome and cool.
It's my favorite book, by the way.
100%. Well, now that I'm an atheist, mine is Ecclesiastes.
That's good.
Ruslan, is Jesus God?
Yes.
Is God perfect?
Yes.
Yeah, that's why I loved Jesus. When Paul talks about meditating on good, beautiful things, my understanding of Jesus was that he was perfection incarnate. And how can you not fall in love with someone like that, right?
So when you call yourself an atheist now, did you go through a period of like, I'm an agnostic, I'm a deist, or what was that process like to say full-on atheist?
I think that's less interesting, right? I mean, I think believers really want to get hung up on like, well, are you agnostic or atheist? Or I don't think there's a God, right?
I'm interested in your journey, by the way,
Right,
not exactly the
100%,
definition.
100%. But I think that, I think it was not quite overnight, but over the course of a summer, I think it was, the big thing was, hey, I don't think Christianity is true. And then kind of separate from that, it's like, I guess I also don't think that that God is true. But I think it was a pretty quick process.
So when you told people, presumably family, friends, what are some people in your mind you're like, you know what, they responded well? And those are some people, you don't have to name them unless you want to. You're welcome to. It's like, that wasn't
Bill
helpful.
from Chick-fil-A. Teasing. He wrote atheist on the bag. Spat on my chicken. I would say that by and large, the people who responded well were the ones who were secure in their faith.
That's good. That's good. Let me just say this, because Jared's journey shouldn't threaten your faith. You should be able to look at that, and every time I think or I study, or I went down this rabbit hole the other day of all these other theories about Jesus really being Barabbas and these charts, timelines, and I walked away from it like, what if I love Jesus more, and I believe more, and I'm more confident in my faith, right? So Jared's journey and where he's at now shouldn't threaten you and the confidence you have. And hopefully, when we are able to just sit in that for a moment, like that, I think to me is very powerful, because then we can genuinely learn and go, okay, what insight does Jared have, or how? Because again, I think with your Atheist Church Audit series, like to me, it gives me a lot of perspective and context on stuff of like, hey, because the scriptures talk a lot about, hey, have a good name amongst outsiders, have a good name amongst non-believers, right? Live such good lives among the pagans, though they accuse you of doing wrong, they may see your good deeds and worship God on the day he visits them. Like that's a really bold proclamation and prescription that Paul's giving us. So I think you made that point of like, hey, it's the people that aren't threatened, because then they're not trying to trick you with any like Christian voodoo and juke and all that, you know?
Are you guys familiar with the term Jesus juke? Yeah, don't Jesus juke people, man. It's like, anyway.
Yeah.
So, were you going to talk? I had a question for you, but share.
Oh man, what was I going to say? Yeah, I mean, I think that like, just real quick, sometimes I'll introduce myself to a believer and I'll say like, oh yeah, I'm an atheist, I'm an ex-Christian, and you can see like the terror in their eyes, and it's like, man, I'm not here to like shipwreck your faith, dog. Like chill. And you know, I sometimes see people like kind of shake and tremble, and it's like, you know, for some people, right?
I love being next to you when you do the reveal.
Yeah.
We were just at Chosen Con together, and he's telling these
He introduces, he runs up to people and he's like, have you met my atheist friend?
But they were all by and large, those ladies were all by and large very sweet.
They were very, they were very sweet. They were very kind.
None of them tried to lay hands on you and pray over you in tongues.
No.
Nothing weird happened.
No, nothing weird happened, thankfully. But I mean, I don't let the fear of somebody hurting your faith prevent you from being a good Christian, right? I was hurting when I left the faith. It sucked. I didn't want to live anymore, man. And people were so quick to coax their own doubt, rather than just hold me. Right? Like, and this is so frustrating to me, because this bleeds into politics as well. You know, like something crappy happens in the news, and immediately people are bickering about who's in the right and who's in the wrong. Like, this community is hurting. They're scared. And so, you know, before you dive headlong into you know, trying to justify your side or coax your own doubt, like, just see them, man.
Yep.
Were there any communities that embraced you well, or some Christians that you're like, man, they did it right? And what did that look like?
I think my friends from college were really good about it. And, you know, in that dark night of the soul, I didn't need to talk it through. I didn't need to hash it out. I didn't need to go through the apologetics again. I needed to play a board game. I needed to, you know, run around campus, being a little hellion, blasting some Eminem, playing hide and seek on campus, like that meant the world to me. And it'll get brought up eventually, right? I heard you once say, play the long game. And I think that so many Christians absolutely destroy their witness by being so quick they want to fix it, they want to jump in. And you need to weep with those who weep and mourn with those who mourn. And even if you think that the reason why that person is weeping is BS, it's not to them.
Dropping Romans 12 on us, man. Love it. That's a good word. Man. I do have a ton of questions. I partly kind of want to let just some of this sit with us a little bit. Some of just the response that we do well and response we don't do well. It sounds like, if I'm not mistaken, when you were a Christian, you were pretty confident, dialed in, didn't have a lot of doubts. That shifted. How confident are you in your atheism now? How much do you? So, two questions: how confident are you that atheism is true, and how much do you think about the big questions? Like Ryan Burge this week, who's one of the leading demographers. He was talking about how much people think about God and the afterlife and the big questions, and it was like Black Protestants, Mormons, and then evangelicals. Nuns were the lowest, but I think roughly half still think about these questions.
Sure.
So how much, do you ever go, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have left? Are you pretty confident? I'd love to hear.
There's a few questions in there.
That's true.
How confident am I that Christianity is not true? I'm overwhelmingly confident. How confident am I that there's not secretly, unbeknownst to me, a higher power? I'm more confident than I am not confident, but it's not the hill that I'm willing to die on. And then, what was your last question? Oh, man.
I was just curious if you still
do I ever miss it?
How much you think about questions about the afterlife
questions?
and God and...
Oh, brother, I live there.
Because you're going to churches.
Yeah.
Is it like a job, or is it still existential for you?
No. I mean, the videos that I post are incredibly personal, right? And they, I meditate on, who I am, what I am, where is this all going, where does it come from? I live there. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think I think that my Atheist Church Audit series is just an extension of that. I'm more than happy to hear other people speculate and muse on it, and I disagree at times, but sometimes hearing them talk about it with the twinkle of hope in their eye, it's like, yeah, I think they're full of crap, but I think it's a lovely sight.
So you were a worship leader. You said. So for me, when I want to just fill up my soul, I'll do a few things. Sometimes I just listen to worship music. Sometimes I jump on my e-bike. I live in San Juan, and I just head to Doheny Beach. If you know where that's at, and I just walk along the beach, and I just pray, think, get my mind away from stuff. So it's nature, it's scripture, it's worship songs. What is it like for you, especially since you are a worship guy, to be I just fill my heart up, fill my soul up? Or is that question itself biased and you're asking the wrong question?
How do I fill my soul up, right? With groanings too deep for words, right? I mean, my beliefs are pretty straightforward. I think you die and it goes black. There's nothing magical about it. It's nothing crazy about my perspective or views. It's pretty straightforward. But man, sometimes just, people bring me to tears. Just humans are wonderful, and I don't know why I think they're wonderful, but they are. And I feel inordinately grateful to meet people and have friends that care about me, and I'm fed. I'm in an air-conditioned room. Like, stuff is good. And sometimes it's really not. But right here, right now, it is.
Can you tell me about you? So, like, for people that don't know, and this is somewhat new to me, every week or two, you're visiting some religious congregation. You're telling me, was it called, like, correct me if I'm wrong, like Sweet Daddy cult or something like that? Like, what is happening?
Show of hands, who here has seen any of my Sweet Daddy videos? Let's go!
I haven't even seen this stuff. This is, like, new to me, but...
Oh, man.
It's great.
This is crazy, fascinating guy who thinks he's Jesus reincarnated, 100 churches around the U.S., which is, like, we can talk about... This is all the stuff that everybody goes, ooh, I'm interested in this and dramatic. Mm-hmm. That's fascinating, and that's clickbait, and can be good clickbait done well. That's not a critique. I'm more interested in you went to a place that maybe wasn't so dramatic, but you're like, wow, these people are really living the Jesus worldview in a way that's captivating and authentic.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Captivating and authentic.
If you can't think of one, then we have other issues to deal with, don't we?
Well, oh, man.
It doesn't have to be perfect.
No,
Maybe I painted that too.
So there are wonderful people across the board, anywhere I go. One of the first audits I ever did was a local black church near me. And, I walk in, I'm a sight for sore eyes, and I look kind of like a creeper, like, huddled up in the back. And those people hugged me, and they were so warm and so gracious. And I was basically moved to tears, and I stood up and commended them for how warm and hospitable they were. So there is something to that. But then at the same time, I also have to bring up the Jehovah's Witnesses, who are notorious for love bombing, and so there's tension there of making people feel welcomed and loved, while at the same time not manipulating people through niceness. So there's a spectrum there. That terror that I was talking about when I introduced myself as an atheist, I got to give it to the Mormons. The Latter-day Saints. Let's go. Now this compliment has to be tempered, because they bribed me with a free cruise. So take it with a grain of salt.
Dang.
But I had so many wonderful conversations with people there that meant a lot to me. Bird's eye view, in-person interactions are worth 10 times more than anything online. And my pitch at the end of all my videos is, my name is Jared. I'm an atheist. Go to church. And then I burp or something stupid, right? And that is sincerely my hope, is that people would meet people in person. I don't want people to explore religious communities or other ideas through their TikTok algorithm. I want them to go and shake somebody's hand and look them in the eye and hear their story. It's important. I just got back from Egypt. I spent 2 weeks there with some Coptic Christians. And man, the way that the little kids would run up to the men in black cassocks, the priests and the deacons, and they would run up to the priest and they would say, Abuna, Abuna, Father, Father, give me a blessing. I don't know how you cultivate a community of safety where that religious garb signifies safety, that even children who have never met you are running up to you and you're like Santa Claus to them. So that's really cool. And then if you're talking about the most beautiful expressions of Christian love that I've experienced,
would be when you came to the Bless God Summit.
There you go.
with all these amazing people.
Softball, baby.
You know, I'm interested in cutting through the BS because I think that nobody's lied to me more than I've lied to myself, and I think that's true for a lot of other people as well. Yeah. And I see a lot of believers, you know, they'll say like, well, you know, like I'm just loving you, and the way that I'm loving you is by telling you you're wrong. And there's kind of this, you know, just this mentality that like, you know, the most loving thing I can do is tell you that you're going to hell, or tell you why, you know, this or that thing is a sin, or bicker to you about culture war stuff. And a lot of times I think that people are just lying to themselves. You know, like how you need to look in your own heart and ask yourself, like, am I preaching the gospel to this person because I sincerely care about them more than I care about myself? Or am I doing it because I think I'm going to get a reward in heaven, or because his atheism threatens my convictions? Or, yeah. I have a friend who's a nun in Eastern Europe, and I didn't know you could do this. You can just text nuns. It's cool. They have cell phones now. I didn't know that.
Do you call her mother?
No. She, you know, we've had several phone conversations, and she's just really gracious. And she once told me, Jared, I want you to be in heaven more than I want to be there myself. Would you trade your spot in heaven for somebody else? Do you want to see them flourish in all domains of their life? Or does it kind of piss you off, you know, when the atheist who's gay is like, you know, he's thriving and he's happy and he's doing well? Does that upset you? Because, well, no, he's supposed to convert. He's supposed to, you know, his life is supposed to be in the crapper, and he's supposed to, you know, come crawling on his hands and knees and have his come to Jesus moment. But like, do you rejoice when he's rejoicing?
So I got a question for you. I've had a bunch of questions.
Hit me.
And if you want to ask me questions and flip the script, that's totally fine. So like the apologist and evangelist in me, I'm going to be completely honest with you, is like, okay, so you just made a point about somebody substituting for somebody else in heaven as like this powerful moment of love.
Yeah.
When you substitute and sacrifice for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting here going, this is kind of a metaphor for Jesus. And you're the atheist preaching it to us. So your heart knows that's the deepest sign of love, whether you meant it that way or not, and we yearn for that. But rather than asking you that question, I'm going to let it sit. I want to ask you, because I am an evangelist, I'm an apologist, I believe this stuff, and I'm trying to think of ways to hopefully lovingly persuade people in the right time and at the right way with what I think is true.
Right.
So for somebody sitting here going, wait a minute, here's an opening, coach me as an atheist, how you think we should balance speaking truth, going, wait a minute, you're preaching the gospel, you really believe this, versus just saying, let it go, just love, be patient, knowing that you've been where we are. How do you think we should balance those things?
What a doozy, man.
Can I read one verse? I think that bridges this question.
Sure, yeah.
You're the boss,
get me out of
man.
this. Yeah.
Well, because I think this verse summarizes literally what just happened.
Where's my eject button?
First John 3:16 says, "This is how we know what love is. Jesus Christ laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for our brothers and sisters."
Right. there's part of this that I have to defer on, right? I can't in good conscience coach believers how to grapple with a conservative view on homosexuality, right? That's one of the few areas where I say, hey, if you're wrestling with same-sex attraction or being gay, like you're allowed to leave. And I don't know how to coach my believing friends on how to tell, people with that as part of their story. So you're on your own for that one. We're going to have to be at a disagreement there. Beyond that, though, I mean, I think that you lead with what you agree on, and insofar as you agree on, hey, to this or that group, like we disagree on all these things, we disagree about who Jesus is, but we do agree about this thing is good. So you should try to outdo non-believers in fighting for that, right? If you believe that sexual assault is wrong, you should make a lot more noise about it than your atheist friends. If you believe that hunger is bad, that starvation is bad, then you should make a lot more noise about it than the atheists in the room are, right?
Is that because actions speak louder than words, or that gives you the right to then speak to somebody when you do that? Or just live out your faith, since that's what you say you believe?
But all three.
All three?
All three.
Right. Okay.
Home run.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say that a life well lived is the greatest witness of all.
We got 9 minutes. I mean, that's kind of or 7 minutes, whatever.
Well,
a life well lived is the greatest witness of all. Mm-hmm. I realize there's not an atheist community by any stretch of the imagination. I have friends in completely different worlds that see the world differently from each other, politically, philosophically, fill in the blank. What are some of the common comments or things you hear back from atheists given what you do, or maybe just former Christians?
I usually get two types of emails. I get emails from Christians who say, hey, Jared, I know this doesn't make sense and I know this is weird, but your videos have strengthened my faith. Bless God. Hallelujah. I'm really happy when I hear that somehow, people are thriving, or they're going to church for the first time, or they're exploring new religious communities, or they were afraid of their Muslim neighbors 10 minutes ago, and now they're going to a mosque to remind themselves, hey, these are humans with stories and families and loved ones. That's the first type of email I got. The second type of email is, hey, I was an atheist, and I was a lot more angry before I watched your videos. And I'm okay with both of those. And of course, I get people who say like, "Hey, I've started deconstructing and deconverting because of your videos," and I'm happy with that too. I
How
want people
common
to do
are
well.
those, by the way?
I would say that all three are about an equal smattering, and I'm okay with all of them.
That's interesting.
We've got 7 minutes left?
Could I poke?
Poke. I feel like the Pillsbury Doughboy, right?
Could you grant, for the sake of argument, that even the idea of caring for and engaging with those people that are often mistreated in society is the downstream effect, or the way, as Glenn Scrivener would describe, a Christian-ish value? So to even make the statement that, hey, you should care for fill in a blank marginalized group. You should care about the poor. You should care that same-sex attracted people aren't being mistreated, right? That in and of itself is actually the downstream effects of a Christian worldview, because if we remove the Christian worldview and you go to places where there is no Christian worldview and there is no permeation of Christianity, when you bring up matters of sexuality, poverty, might is right, if you don't align with these views that we have, I'm talking about completely no Christian influence. I'm not talking about Sweden. I'm not talking about those nations. I'm talking about completely void of Christian influence.
I'm not going to grant that.
You're not going to grant that.
No, I mean, I'm not an anthropologist. I'm sure I could sift through the weeds and find, pagan communities that were generous and kind and, loved their neighbor better than the surrounding Christian nations. But I'm not interested in having a pedantic squabble about, a theological blank measuring contest about who gets to take the credit for a good and happy world. I just want my Christians to strive to facilitate that. Like, you don't get any bonus points for saying, hey, we're doing better than our Muslim country neighbors. I just want you guys to do the best that you can.
Yeah, I think we are doing better than our Muslim country neighbors for the fact. That's data. I'm sorry. I'm not going to back down on that. But two, what I'm saying is...
Jordan beats us in hospitality.
Fine. And gay people get hung all over the Muslim world.
Sure.
Okay,
sure.
So, and they get treated best in the West. I'm saying that's the downstream effects of a Christian worldview. So when it's like the conversation comes down to, hey, we have these differences, the part that I think for the Christian is, yeah, we're not going to budge on these things. So how do we, because I think that's what you were asking, how do we articulate hard truth without saying we're going to budge on, we're going to water this down? How can I love the person I disagree with without saying, but I'm not going to bless something that is not blessed in Scripture? And is that even possible, I guess, from your perspective?
Can I frame it this way?
Yeah.
So part of being an evangelical, I'm assuming most of you are, except maybe the 5 Mormons in the back. We're glad you're here. It is one of the 4 doctrines of being evangelical is sharing the good news. Mm-hmm. That's a part of who I am. So if I'm going to be authentic to who I am, I'm going to look for opportunities to share the faith.
Mm-hmm. Right.
When you said your life is the best witness, and yet a part of who I am is hopefully my life is a good witness, but it includes speaking truth that has eternal implications. How do we balance that in a way where you and others would go, okay, I get it. You're being true to who you are. You're loving me, where we speak truth and yet really care about you. That's the tension I think we're wrestling with.
That's a good tension.
What is the core of your gospel? Not your gospel, but the gospel that you believe in.
Are you really asking me that?
Is it hell? Is it the 10 Commandments? Is it hope for the afterlife? Or is it Christ? Major on the majors, minor on the minors. That was something that Dr. Brown taught me. I have determined to know nothing except Christ and Christ crucified. And I think that should be your starting place and ending place. If I were to give, unsolicited advice, from
That's fair.
From the atheist chair.
We want to know what you think.
I don't know how. I should have prepared better. I don't know how to
You understand.
I understand the tension,
right?
I understand
this
the
is a good tension because it's like
it's
how
the same tension. It's the same tension that that Jehovah's Witnesses feel. Like, how do you coach a Jehovah's Witness from authentically living out their faith, believing that you are going to be destroyed in the apocalypse? How do you say, hey, I'm rooting for you and I want you to do that well, when you just believe that that's not going to be happening? I don't think that you're going to be destroyed by Jehovah here in the apocalypse. And so I don't know how to coach my evangelical friends. How do I lovingly and politely, explain eternal conscious torment to people? I don't know how to give advice on that.
That's fair. I think the tension is Jehovah's Witnesses have a salvation by works faith.
Well,
And
they
evangelicals
wouldn't say that. Well, right, but not from their viewpoints, right? I mean, I would say that, that's what we're talking about, right? Is, hey, I believe that from your viewpoint, you believe that my soul is damned. So,
Sure.
How do I coach you through your viewpoint of saying, hey, just want to let you know, bud, I personally believe that you're screwed. Like, I don't know how to coach my Christian friends through that. In the same way that I don't know how to coach, other people.
Yeah,
And maybe everybody's not necessarily the same. It's not like if we have this formula, it works with every atheist.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's not the case. Penn Jillette famously is like, if you share Jesus with me, that's an act of love, at least he said,
Right.
because you care about me and my eternal, destiny. So having some formula that just magically works for atheists, it's just part of the takeaway of this is it's just not that simple. It's going to take wisdom, genuine heart of care for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And if we speak from that and the person knows that they're loved, probably more likely than not, it's going to land well if claims about hell and the afterlife can ever land well.
Right.
Yeah, because there's certain things that are just hard. There's certain aspects that are hard.
Yeah.
And so we live in a society where authenticity is often the North Star virtue, right? And it's like, which is not for the Christian. The North Star virtue is truth, right? And love. And so if we're in a society where everybody should be embraced as their true authentic self, except the Christian, when we say, no, Jesus has something greater for you than your true authentic self. He has a new self for you. That now it's oil and water, right? And we're saying you as an atheist is mature in that you can go into Christian spaces where you already know that we're settled on the homosexuality question.
Right.
Like there's no persuading us. Yet you know that hopefully you believe that you bring in someone in our orbit and they're going to be loved and treated with dignity and respect and honor, right? So there's a tension we live in. And so what I'm saying is that enough, or do we need to do better? Like, help me understand that part.
I don't know that I know how to answer that.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Because I think therein lies, like there's just like in the earlier conversation we had with the Catholic and the Orthodox friends, like there's just some fault lines that we're not gonna find alignment on.
Sure.
And that's okay. And it's good that we know, okay, here's a hard line. The atheist is just gonna think you're a bigot because you hold to a biblical sex ethic.
And
right? Is that fair?
Well, I mean, that's not my position.
It's not your position, but I'm saying the general perspective, because you're like the new iteration of the atheist, right? But I still have friends.
You're the new atheist.
You're the new atheist. Because you're not angry, but
Sure.
I still have friends
Yeah.
that are atheists that I love and I hang out with that are way more angry, and it always comes back to the sex question.
Not always. I mean, for goodness gracious.
I mean, it came up in this conversation.
Yeah,
Twice.
Twice.
But I mean, listen, that's not the end all be all, right? It's a particularly thorny question that I'm very passionate about. I want my gay friends to be well, and I don't believe that a conservative view on that is well for them, right? And so
can an atheist hold a conservative viewpoint on sexuality and still be good with the gays and the atheists?
I mean, I don't think so, because if you're coming at it from an atheistic point of view, then I don't see what sort of like rational argument you have against homosexuality, and so it would probably come down to bigotry. I grant that for evangelicals, it doesn't have to come from a place of bigotry. It can come from a place of sincerely saying, hey, maybe quietly I say like, I don't really want this to be the case, but I believe that the text says this, and I'm kind of locked into this position. I don't think that makes you a terrible person.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So if you're an atheist and you're saying, hey, I don't think that gay people should be,
I'm using this example because I do think someone could be a pro-life atheist.
Sure. And the pro-life
Right.
question
And
is a
from
different question
yeah,
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I keep looking at the clock. I know that
We're over.
We're over.
Yeah, we're over. I'm letting this sit because I think this is good.
Am I good? Am I okay?
Yeah. You got any final thoughts?
I'm good.
Can I beg for 5 more minutes?
You-
Please, 5 more minutes.
How about we do one more question? You ask me and Sean anything you want to ask.
Is that what you wanted the 5 minutes
That's
for?
yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask one last question.
Okay.
What would you do tomorrow if you found out Christianity categorically is not true? What would you do if you found the corpse of Christ?
If I found the what of Christ?
If you found the corpse
The
of
corpse
Christ.
of Christ. Like seriously, what would I do tomorrow?
What would you do?
I would quit my job.
Okay.
Actually, they would fire me. I would, obviously, probably tomorrow, I would sit down with my family. Now, if they found the bones of Christ, this would kind of change the whole McDowell family, like not just me.
Right.
So it's versus me leaving versus them finding the bones of Jesus. First thing I'd do is I'd sit down with my wife and be really honest with her and say, how do we navigate this? I hope we can stay together, but I understand if you don't want to be married to an atheist. Honestly, like I take 1 Corinthians 15 really seriously. If there is no resurrection,
Then we of all men are most to be pitied.
might as well eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. So I'm not going to say atheists are immoral and all live like nihilists or whatever. I'm not going to say that. I know that's not the case. But I really believe if God doesn't exist and Jesus didn't rise from the grave, there's no objective morality and human value and life after death. I don't think it matters what I would do. Now, that's me, because you asked me what my take would be. Now, maybe if I became an atheist, I would just rethink more than that. But I think Paul is right. If there's no resurrection, you can do what you do, and that's fine, and that helps people. Good for you. But that's not objectively better than anybody else who has a YouTube channel who does the opposite things. That's how I view it if there were no God. And I also resonate deeply with what you said. I went through a period of doubt where I told my dad, who's an apologist, I'm not sure that I believe this stuff. That's why I asked you how people responded well and didn't well. And my dad, he didn't freak out. He goes, seek after truth. He goes, I love you no matter what. Affirmed his relationship with me. So I remember it wasn't a head game for me. I remember feeling it in my heart. So what you said about the depression, that would probably be very real to me in a way. I don't fully experience it now until I woke up and was like, there is no God, there's no resurrection, I've been living a lie. I think that would be a crushing weight.
Thank you for being honest about that. That's all.
It's good.
It's good.
Good answer.
And cut. Scene.
No, we're not done.
Not done.
Be totally honest. What did you think I was going to say?
I thought you were going to say I couldn't conceive of that being the case.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. Well, because here's the thing. I've walked up to the edge and peeked over multiple times in my life. Right. What if this? Nah. So I've flirted with the idea. I was an atheist, flirted with the idea. Before deconstruction was a thing, I was wrestling through the inerrancy of Scripture and the homosexuality question 20 years ago. So none of this stuff is threatening to me because I've asked the hard questions and wrestled with it and did all the things. So it doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Is that good?
That's good.
Yeah. We done?
That was amazing, yeah.
Jared Smith.
I loved it.
Dr. Sean McDowell.
Really well done. That was great.
Thank you, bro.
Appreciate it, man.
All right.
After you.